Welcome back. You're still watching the Afia Morning Show live from Enugu. My name is Nathalie Iwuanyanwu, saying welcome to a brand new week and good morning or good evening, depending on where you're joining us from at this morning in Nigeria, West African time. Oji Wachuku is here. Oji, good morning.
Hi, good morning. It's always good to put into consideration that, so many people are watching us from, different part of the world.
That's
so
right.
When you say good evening or good afternoon is applicable, right? So how are you? How was your weekend?
Weekend was great. My brother was under the weather, so it was a little bit traumatic. Spent the whole weekend at the hospital, but everything ended on Sunday, and we were able to go home. He finally released us from the hospital, and then we took him back home. So it wasn't very restful, but it was definitely one well spent because it made us all to stay together and typically bond. So that was a great one.
Very important.
All right, without wasting further time, we do have Barrister Chiagozie Nwabuko, Chartered Mediator, Conciliator, and definitely a legal practitioner right here in the studio. Barrister Nwabuko, thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Natalie. Good morning.
Good morning, welcome.
You're looking regal.
Oh.
I think that's the word.
Your birthday?
Every day is my birthday. I celebrate every day.
That's this new thing. Today is my birthday. What is this? Why do Nigerians do this thing now? Where you just run to person? Oh, today is my birthday. What does that mean?
I think if you're Nigerian, right, you have to be celebrating every other day, right? Because there are so many things that could make you leave this world.
Yes.
As a Nigerian. So if once you're being protected by the super beings, right, and you see the next day, celebrate it.
That's right.
Celebrate it is very important.
Okay, let's keep celebrating it and giving thanks to God. Now, moving on straight to our newspaper headlines this morning, we'll begin with the Daily Times and the cover story here. Stop embarrassing Nigeria, appoint ambassadors. ADC tells Tinubu. Away from there, customs seizes 1.78 billion naira worth of contraband in 45 days. PDP asks IGP to investigate attempt on Ezewafo's life. ICPC secures conviction of immigration officer in employment fraud. Federal government dismisses rumored cancellation of Waec NECO exams. And on Daily Independent, first holdco 1 trillion naira MPLs cast shadow over Otedola's takeover. Stay away from National Assembly, Senate warns Natasha. ADC taunts Tinubu over promise to provide 24-hour electricity. Away from there, retired police officers planned protest ill-timed, says PSC. And governors, media chiefs, dignitaries to attend Lateef Jakande's memorial lecture July 23rd in Lagos. On Blueprint, our history would be incomplete if I had lost my presidential bid, President Tinubu remarks. Awujale was steadfast, committed to democracy June 12th struggle. Tunde Bakare explains late monarch's role in APC formation. Army deactivates 14 illegal refining sites, arrests 62 suspects in Delta. Weaker emerges Blueprint Person of the Year, Barawo outstanding lawmaker. And on to the Whistler. GT Bank's LSC listing validates CBN's reforms, economic stability according to experts. Listing signals renewed global confidence in Nigeria's economy. Stay away, Senate tells Natasha. NGX turnover surges to 500 billion naira. Market capitalization hits 83 trillion naira. Distributors say most iron steel products in market substandard. Customs intercepts 20 billion naira drugs disguised as tomato paste. ADC condemns Governor Okpebolo's restriction order against Obi. I take that again. ADC, I beg your pardon, condemns Governor Okpebolo's restriction order against Obi. And finally, on Nigerian News Direct, no anointed candidates for 2027 presidential elections, according to the ADC. Supporters don't speak for Atiku or Obi. Opposition coalition cautions camps. Okpebolo defends clearance order for Obi's visit to Edo, cites rising insecurity. NDLEA arrests notorious drug kingpin after 7-year manhunt, seizes 11.6 kg cocaine. Stay away from the chambers. Senate dares Natasha over planned Tuesday resumption.
Okay, starting from the Vanguard. Why Obi El-Rufai are yet to join ADC, attributed to Bolaji Abdullahi. Ex-PDP Governors Forum DG joins ADC. Obedience won party against selling presidential ticket to the highest bidder. Omo Agege has no plan to leave APC, but Ayiri, Emami, No ADC leader can inherit Buhari's 12 million block vote, says Okechukwu. 2025 SSCE disregard report on purported cancellation. FG Waec tell public. Governors media chiefs for Lateef Jakande's lecture in Lagos, July 23rd. You can catch it on page 18 of the Vanguard. Late Awujale stood for revalidation of June 12 polls, says Tinubu. Defection, Adeleke's negotiation hits brick wall, APC source says. Subsidy removal, turnover profit soar in oil companies. Moving over to New Nigerian. Fuel scarcity looms over NNPC's failure to release Ipman's funds. Appeals to GMD to release over 5 billion naira allegedly held by NNPC Retail Limited. Congratulates new appointed GMD engineer Bayo Ojulari. Without good seeds, Nigeria at risk of food shortage, attributed to AATF. CSO's appeals to Tinubu to fulfill Buhari's promise to immortalize late Shagari. Zulum tax Borno LG chairman on 70,000 minimum wage implementation. Appoint government moves to empower citizens doing menial jobs outside states. Barracuda feast mirrors Nigeria's collapse. Sea Dogs 1. Fleeing 60-year-old drug kingpin lands in NDLEA net 7 years after Golden Jubilee anniversary. Methodist Church urges FG Southeast governments to prioritize justice, good governance. Oni remains overall father of Yoruba race attributed to Deji. Buhari, may our subsequent leaders die at home. Oba Sani inaugurates fertilizer committee, launches support for 100,000 farmers. Lastly, on New Nigerian Association holds training workshops, community dialogues on peace resilience in Maiduguri. Moving over to Nigerian Tribune, Tinubu Bakare reveal Awujale's role in June 12 formation of APC. Tough choices for CBN over interest rates. Retired officers protest and show peaceful conduct. Security IGP tells CPs. Withdraw threat. Apologize to Obi Falana, tells Edo Governor. Bebelo says security protocols must be followed. Senate to Natasha. Stay away from National Assembly. Vessels incur losses as debris litter Nigerian waterways. Obi won't be denied right to seek presidential ticket, says ADC. Party asks Tinubu to appoint ambassadors. Waec to release 2025 May-June exam results August 4th. And lastly, right here on Nigerian Tribune, Nel Fund loans to students hit 77 billion naira in 1 year. The Guardian, MPC caught in rate cut trade-offs as bank demand CRR review. Edo Benue governors under fire over threats to Obi. NBA proposes changes to electoral act once BVAS, IREF legalized. Ifa Council to sue Ogun government over Awujale's burial. Tunde, Tinubu Bakare louds Awujale's contribution to APC political success. So moving over to the last one right here, the Matrix. Natasha, Senate Bruhaha. Showdown looms. Senate, stay away from NAS. We won't tolerate destruction of our proceedings. Once embattled senator to allow due process run its full course. Awujale assured my second term victory, Tinubu reveals, says our history wouldn't have been completed if I'd failed in last election. Row erupts over renaming of Unimaid. ASU students orders kick. Shelf plan protest on pension scheme. PSC appeals to retired police officers. And lastly, NDDC forensic audit report. Sirap orders drag FG to ECOWAS court.
All right. Thank you, Oji, for those headlines. I think we'll begin boldly from the Matrix and the top story here. Natasha Senate Bruhaha. Showdown looms. Now, according to some kind of publication that the Senator Natasha was planning to resume her legislative duties tomorrow being Tuesday. Now, the Senate is saying do not resume. There is no court order that is telling you to resume your legislative duties before the end of your suspension period. Natasha, on her own part, is yet to comment, at least we are yet made aware of any comments concerning this warning from the Senate. What do you make of the seeming continuous conundrum between Senator Natasha Iwuanyanwu and the National Assembly?
Well, I think it's not an ego trip. It's not an ego battle this time around, because the court judgment is very clear. We don't actually need a court judgment that will order Natasha to go back to her duties. It's not necessary. The judgment was very clear that her suspension was unconstitutional. So if it's unconstitutional, that means there's no basis for suspending her from the National Assembly. So automatically she has every right to go back and resume her duty. So I think it's an ego trip. What Senator Appoint is doing just to flex his muscles, to stop Senator Natasha from resuming her senatorial duty. So her legislative duty. So I think that it's actually wrong for the Senate to stop her from resuming her duties. She has every right to represent her people. And what Appoint is doing is simply an ego thing. It's an ego battle now. So the judgment is very clear. So we don't need the judgment to say, Senator Natasha, go back to your office. No. The judgment is very clear that the act of the National Assembly is unconstitutional. That means if something is unconstitutional, that means it has no basis in law. So she should naturally, automatically go back to the National Assembly.
If he was a man, would he be treated the way Natasha is being treated at this point in time?
I don't think we need to genderize this issue. So
because apparently
it's a political issue.
It's political, but it seems like she's stepping on toes, right? As it seems right now, because the Senate president is making it more personal than making it a political issue.
For me, I think it's actually a political issue. It's not because she's a woman. I think it's a political issue. If you discover her, you also know that she's also in the opposition. So I don't think they would have done that to an APC senator.
Right.
You understand? So I'm saying from the prism of politics. If she ports over to APC, I think it would be better for her.
Our sins will be forgiven.
Yes. So our sins will be wiped off according to Shimole. So if she ports to APC, I think such things will be happening. For me, I think it's purely political.
You think so? All right. We are still having a little technical glitch with your sound. We're meant to understand from the engineers that your microphone is down. So we'll go on a quick break, try to fix it, and then we'll return so we don't miss any part of this analysis. The Morning Chief returns in seconds. Stay tuned. Apologies once again, deep apologies for the issues we're having this morning with sound, but we'll try to stay on course. Now the show has resumed. We still have Barrister Nwabuko right here in the studio with us. Barrister Nwabuko, apologies once again for the issues we're having. So let's move on now to this headline taken from the Daily Times. Stop embarrassing Nigeria. Appoint ambassadors, ADC tells Tinubu. How do you feel about that headline?
Well, yes, I think the presidency is a little bit sloppy on that. You recall that sometime 2023, the president recalled 109 ambassadors and high commissioners. So going to 2 years, they don't have ambassadors and high commissioners. So most of those younger junior diplomats will not be able to fit into the shoes of the ambassadors and they charge their affairs can't do the work. So when we consider these things, it's embarrassing. So if there are high-tech discussions and negotiations at the international level, there's no need to negotiate for Nigeria. So I think it's not proper. I don't know why the government is still, dilly-dallying. For 2 years now, we don't have ambassadors.
The first thing that comes to mind when you see a headline like this is that the president seems to be representing the country in places where perhaps ambassadors could have been able to perform those duties. Do you see the presidential trips reducing if Nigeria finally has ambassadors?
Well, if we have ambassadors, it's not going to reduce. We have presidents who are globetrotters. So it appears it is in our DNA. So Buhari did same, Jonathan did same, there have always been, Obasanjo did same. For Obasanjo, after he was inaugurated, he jetted out of Nigeria, sent to Buhari with his wish list, which never came to pass. So we've been keeping tabs on this leader. So it appears as if it's in our DNA. We always like to walk about. So it's not going to change anything.
Okay, let me bring your thoughts to this Nigerian Tribune. Withdraw threats, apologize to Obi, Falana tells Edo governor. Still, Webelo says security protocols must be followed. Now, I want to ask this question. Don't we again have rights to free movements in our own nation? Or is it because it's Obi, it has to take express excuse from the governor of the state. We remember it happened in Benue State. Now it's happening in Edo State. Is this a build-up pattern?
Obi has become a phenom. He has become an enigma. He has become a colossus in Nigerian politics. And they didn't see him coming, and then finally he came, and then that shaking. It's purely political. Obi is the face of the opposition in Nigeria. We have a political system in Nigeria where the PDP is not doing anything, and then Obi appears to be single-handedly, holding the ruling party on this jugular. So they are trying to restrain his movement and his glowing popularity. We see a similar trend. It happened sometime in Benue when Governor Alia went on overdrive. We are seeing the same thing here again with Edo. So I think that they are not comfortable, because whenever Obi goes to, he pulls this organic crowd. People come out, show him love, and then so it has nothing to do with freedom of movement, right? The Constitution guarantees freedom of movement for all Nigerians. It's simply issue of politics. So it's like having a strong political figure come to your state and to curry favor with those who will likely vote for him if he contests again. So it's simply an APC OB issue. So it's not about his rights of movement.
You're not Tony. Let's come from a legal perspective. Is it legally right to tell an individual, a citizen of the Nigerian state, not to visit or freely move around, in a country which he or she pays tax?
Every Nigerian has a right and freedom of movement and association, so you can't stop anybody from moving. Everybody. He's talking about security clearance. Well, what does that mean? Actually, what does that mean? So does it mean he's not doing his work? Every Nigerian should be protected.
That was the same thing, Governor Alia.
Yes. Obi does not need any special permission or special security clearance. That means that he's not doing his work as a governor. You should secure every Nigerian. Obi is not bigger than any other Nigerian. All Nigerians are equal before the law. So does it mean that if you want to go to a donor, you must go for serious security clearance, and they will give you a halos full of policemen to guard you? So you saw that the governor purportedly is not doing his work. So Obi is not bigger than any other Nigerian. Every Nigerian is equal before the law. So he doesn't need any political clearance, security clearance to go to anywhere in Nigeria. He has every right to do that.
All right. Let's jump down, look at this headline. We'll still circle back to that. Blueprint. We're seeing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu saying our history would be incomplete if I had lost my presidential bid. Now, let's try to quote him directly from this event. He said, our history would not have been completed carefully and richly if I failed at the last election. I was successful because of your support and the blessing of late Awujale. I came to him. He blessed me. He said, you will win that election and you will win one more time. Go ahead. Today, he is no more. He is gone. But God has blessed us, especially if we heed the richness of his wisdom. He, of course, made this known during the rites being performed for the late Awujale. Now, what do you think of this remark? Was it intentional in your view, or was he trying to say something else and then he said this? Because it seems to many people as though it's self-praising, tooting one's own horn. History would not have been complete if I wasn't elected as president. How do you receive that remark?
He was actually talking about the history, not the history of Nigeria, but the history of the Yorubas. Now, read it in context. So he was actually talking about the history of Nigeria. I was talking about the history of the Yorubas. He has always been very clear about that. He's a Yoruba president. He said it from day one. The Emiloko chant. So he's talking about the history of the Yorubas, right? We don't have it complete. That was maybe when you went to see the Awujale, you understand? So it was actually a veiled political statement. And he said that he prayed for him that he would win again for his second tenure. So actually he's campaigning, veiled campaign for the 2027 poll. So he's simply saying, see, Yorubas, let's rise again, we are completing history now. Number one. Number two, I'm going to win again whether I like it or not. I've received the prayer and the blessing of the Awujale. So everybody should calm down. I'm your next president after these 4 years. I'll take another 8 years, another 4 years. So it's simply purely political. He's simply presenting himself, telling Nigerians that whether I like it or not, I will win again. That's what he just said.
Okay, I'm trying to get where the history was lost, right? Because apparently, Obasanjo, Olusegun Obasanjo, a Yoruba man, they revered Obafemi Awolowo, a Yoruba man. So where is the history lost that is apparently wanting to be completed that President Tinubu is talking about here?
That's what I'm saying. It's not about any history. He's simply trying to, stimulate the Yoruba people. You understand? So he's playing his tribal cards. Understand? Like you say, Yoruba, all right? And he's simply trying to say Yoruba. So okay, get ready. 2027 is around the corner. We are talking about us here. So then he's also addressing the whole Nigerians. Get ready. I've received the blessing of the Awujale, and I will win in 2027. So it's not about any history, it's about politics.
But why do politicians always feel like, yes, is my bid, I must win, I will win, when apparently if you look at your policies, the Nigerian state is in quagmire, is in disarray, right? Why do you think people will actually go out there and still vote for you to come back and still, put on them more adversity?
Have any political leader in Nigeria ever won based on capacity? There's always been one tribe, ethnicity, religion. So they know what they're doing. So it's all politics all through. And then our governance and political system is juicy. So once you get there, you want to stay there for life. You understand? Yeah. So you don't want to be voted out. So you do everything within your power to sustain yourself, whether you are performing or you are not performing.
That's right. Okay, now before we move away from this, we're going to discuss electricity in Enugu State and what's happening, developments. But right before that, speaking about Senator Natasha's, shall we say, alleged plans, do you see her actually going against the warning of the Senate to resume her legislative duties tomorrow being Tuesday? Do you see that happening?
She should not be intimidated. She should not be intimidated. If she's intimidated, then the whole Nigerians are in trouble. So somebody has to stand up and make a very strong showcasing, strong footing. She has to put her foot down and then go there. I will advise her, if she's going there, let her organize all media houses and let us see who will stop her.
There are pundits that believe that based on the antecedents, the issues now, that what things that she has encountered, that her wings have been clipped. We've heard the analysis on the show that she would not go ahead and do things the way she would have done before, that her wings have been clipped by the actions of the Senate. Do you believe in that school of thought?
It's not just about her. It's about her constituency. Whether we like it or not, her constituency has no representation in National Assembly. That is the real issue. So it's not just about Senator Natasha, all right? It's not about her. She's there at the behest of her people. So that means that senatorial district is not being represented. So as long as I'm concerned, she should go back there. She has not been clipped. I just saying that the wings of the Kogi people have been clipped. No. They're making it a personal issue. She has every right to resume her legislative duties because she's not representing herself. She is representing her people. And her people should stand with her at this point in time. So
now that the Senate is saying that she should not resume until her suspension is over. I mean, let's try to look at it objectively. The Senate is saying your suspension is not over. Do not resume your duties. On her own part, she has received this judgment that her suspension was unconstitutional in the first place. What is the way forward? Which way should she go at this point? Forcefully resume her duties as planned or allegedly planned, or heed to the warning of the Senate and wait it out?
She should go to the National Assembly. I'm not going to add the word forcefully. That's why I said she should make a show of it. Get the media on ground. And let us see who will stop her. Let us see the Senate President coming down to push her away from the complex. So she should go there, boldly go there. She should not be intimidated. She should go there with all the media razzmatazz. Let us see the senator or the sergeant at arms, or whether the Senate President will come down and push her away from the complex. Let her make a show of it. Tell Nigerians, I'm going to the Senate, to the complex to do my legislative duties. Let her people come out, do a mini protest from the National Assembly complex, and let us see who will stop her.
Won't that complicate issues for her?
No. She has every right. Legally, constitutionally, politically, she has every right to represent. Like I said, it's not about her.
But they're not
it's about her
into
people.
Consideration. As mean they are putting the constituency into consideration, right? They would literally leave her. Okay, the court's judgment stated already that it's unconstitutional. Is kind of illegal. Her suspension, right? But they're not putting this into consideration, that her constituency. So that's what I'm asking. Regarding what is happening right now, wouldn't that complicate issues for her? Because definitely we'll find another loophole to, impose something.
This is our politics. Yeah. This is our politics. She has to exhibit every form of strength she has now. If she doesn't do that, 2027 is gone. See, this is his politics. So if they intimidate her now, they will make sure she doesn't come back to the National Assembly. Remember, you can't place something or nothing and expect it to stand. The court has already said the suspension is illegal. So what is the Senate President and the National Assembly standing on to stop her?
That's why I asked you the question I asked you before. Is this playing now? Is it patriarchy playing out right here? Assuming Natasha was a man, would it be differently?
If Natasha is Nathan and not Natasha,
Nathan.
And if it's Nathan and Nathan is in LP, they'll still do the same thing.
You know why I don't really join that school of thought of it being gender induced? It's because of what happened in Rivers. Isn't Fubara a man? What happened?
Definitely.
So let's leave it at that now. Let's just leave it and see what's going to play out. Yes. All right. So let's look at this one too concerning Enugu State. Now we're seeing EERC in a milestone directive asking main power to basically crash the prices that Bande consumers are paying for electricity. Now this has received a lot of excitement. We're seeing the tariff going down from 209 per kilowatt hour to 160 naira per kilowatt hour. How do you feel about how Enugu is handling its electricity market?
Okay, I think it gladdens the heart. In Nigeria, it feels as if anything that goes or doesn't come down. So we are seeing something coming down now, and they use it. They say it's cost reflective, right? So it's cool. But then there's a rider there. They said that it will likely go up if the subsidy on electricity is removed. So they're saying it's cost reflective because there's subsidy on electricity. So I think it's well received. Nigerians, Enugu people are happy. I'm happy. I'm by the A. So I'm very happy. Okay,
and great that you mentioned that too. We can continue to interview you and also find out the impact it is taken away. Now, we're looking at a case where the subsidy did not just come today. It didn't just come yesterday. So are you saying that all this while, it was possible for the tariff to come down, but somehow it was not being reflective of the subsidy being paid by the federal government for electricity?
Definitely. All the while we have been shortchanged. That's what happens in Nigeria, all the while. So they're looking at, because what happened, because of the Electricity Act 2023 that repealed the former Electricity Act. So it has devolved electricity marketing and distribution down to the states. So now in Enugu now, that's why the EERC is now monitoring the main power. So it's now more or less like we are doing our thing. We are regulating our thing. So kudos to EERC, kudos to main power.
Do you see this affecting the quality of power supply being distributed by main power? Would they cite that as an excuse for delivering lower power?
No. They say it's cost reflective. That means that we are paying for what we are using. So that means that it's not as if they are receiving less now. They are receiving what they should receive. So there shouldn't be any drop in power delivery to the people.
All right.
Okay, let's move back to politics. Vanguard, why Obi El Rufai yet to join ADC, attributed to Bolaji Abdullahi, right? But there's something that caught my attention here. Obedience won party against selling presidential tickets to the highest bidder. Apparently, they're asking freely, if you want us to support this formation, this movement, freely give Peter Obi the ticket for ADC. Yes, they've thrown it open. The likes of Amechi, the likes of Atiku Abubakar, they are in for the race, the primaries, who is going to be the flag bearer of the ADC, and Peter Obi is there too. So what do you make of this assertion from the Obedience, warning that, hey, if you guys don't give this presidential ticket, I beg your pardon, to Peter Obi, apparently this formation you guys are working on right now might not hold water.
Well, the Obedience are for Obi, not for ADC. So
they have articulate too.
Yes.
I think that's what.
So wherever Obi goes, the Obedience goes there. So Obedience are not actually a party thing. They are people who are Obi's henchmen and henchwomen and henchboys and henchgirls. So they are just with Obi. That's why they call themselves Obedience. So if at the end of the day it's thrown open, and then if Obi does not clinch the ticket, I think the Obedience are not going to throw their weight behind ADC. That's the fact.
And apparently that would actually put to stop apparently they whatever plan for having that counterparty coming in 2027 election, because this whole formation right now, for it to hold water and be strong, is the force, and Obi is the force. Would ADC make that mistake? Because apparently, as seen now, Atiku Abubakar is positioning, but it's still for the Southerners to complete their 4 years, and put into consideration that there are permutations saying that a Southerner can unseat a Southerner. What's your take?
Well, actually, if ADC does not, I don't want to use the word give. they should have a consensus that will bring up Obi as their flag bearer. If they don't do that, we know what Obi will do. Obedience will not even allow Obi to place a fiddle to anyone. So obedience will not even allow Obi to do that. At this point in time, Obi's hands are tied, so he works with the obedience. So if they don't cede the party tickets to Peter Obi, let me just say this: Tinubu has already won.
Okay, now just before we let you go, Barr Nwabuko, circling back to electricity, what do you see this action by Enugu triggering nationwide? Nigerians are now seeing that it's possible for Bande consumers to be paying 160 naira per kilowatt hour. What effect do you see this triggering in the coming days?
I think it's going to make every other state in Nigeria to hold their power sector responsible, so we can have cost-reflective tariffs, because it shows that all the while we have been shortchanged. So it's simply telling us that, see, we are paying more for less all this while. So it should send a repo. It should send repos to all the states in Nigeria to hold their own state electricity regulatory commission responsible for overpaying for more.
160 is it fair still?
I can't say that for now.
He's just happy, but now allow Barr Nwabuko to just feel happy.
Let me just enjoy now. No, it's 1st of August, so let me just enjoy for now.
160 naira, per this thing. I'm thinking, that's what I'm asking. Is it even fair?
Well, I may not say it's fair. That, see, if you're paying for maybe for 1,000 a kilowatt, and all of a sudden you're going to pay 500, you'll be happy.
Yeah, right.
That's it. You'll be happy. So let's just be happy for now.
I know. I mean, I want to see that trickling down to fuel as well. But let's leave it at that. Thank you, Barr Nwabuko, for joining the show today. All right. Of course, we'll have a longer discussion on this and subsequent bulletins. But for now, we'll go on a quick break. And when we return, we're taking regional stories. You don't want to miss this. Stay tuned.